When hinges creak in doorless chambers, and strange and frightening sounds echo through the halls, wherever candlelights flicker, where the air is deathly still, that is the time when ghosts are present, practicing their terror with ghoulish delight. Welcome, fellow armchair Imagineers, to another spine-tingling episode of Scary Adventures. Maniacal laugh. All right. All right. How you doing, Sandy?
I'm doing just fine, thank you.
Do you know what today marks, Sandy?
Today marks my friend Logan's birthday.
Well, happy birthday, Logan. But no, that's not what I was thinking of.
Sorry, I'm sorry. It's Bjorn's birthday. I'm sorry. It's his birthday.
Bjorn, nice. Happy birthday, Bjorn. I actually know you. Hi, Bjorn. Anyways. Okay, so anyways, Sandy, let me paint you a picture of what's going to be happening 3 weeks from now, okay?
Okay.
It's going to be 8:30 Pacific Standard Time, but you're going to be on the rotate. You're going to be used to the, the East Coast rotation of being 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. And we will have been in Disneyland for like 10 hours at that point, and the park will have like 4 more hours left to go. And I'll be dragging your ass around until midnight, motherfucker.
This is true.
Oh, God. So, yes, 3 weeks from now, folks, especially at this time, I have a feeling Sandy's going to be very fatigued. And Tiki is going to be like, no, Sandy, we have to keep going. We have to keep going. Come on. We have to go to Midnight Man.
Oh, no. I'm going to be dragging you around.
Oh, I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see who gets more fatigued during the day, because I'm pretty stoked. But yes, 3 weeks from now, folks, 3 weeks from now, Sandy and I are meeting up at Disneyland in real life. Holy crap, it's actually happening. But
yes.
Anyways, so we are here to talk today about local legends and urban mythology. This is the second episode of the proper Scary Adventures reboot. The first episode we did was on, shoot, Sandy, what did we do it on? I already forgot. We did it on the Glitch in the Matrix stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, that was cool. Any other further thoughts on Glitch in the Matrix?
Nope. The one we did before that was, what was it? There was one we did before that was similar. It was the Mandela effect.
Yeah, Mandela effect. Yes.
Yeah. And then Glitch in the Matrix. Okay.
Okay, so yes, this is going to be basically kind of in the spirit of It, which is crushing box office and also stealing my heart as a movie fan. It is currently one of my absolute favorite movies of the year. And It, one of the big successes of It is the fact that it takes place in a small town, and you get to know that small town very intimately. And that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about small town hauntings and urban legends. I'm going to be talking about my hometown of Petaluma, California. And Sandy, you are going to be talking about a national park that you just visited, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Sandy, why don't you go first? You've got 2 stories. I've got quite a few from Petaluma. I've got about 4. So why don't you go first with 1 story, then we'll get into my Petaluma stuff, and we'll circle back around to your final story.
All right. I should turn my webcam on, right?
Yeah, if you want to show off the book.
Okay. Well, this is the book I have, everyone. It's Glacier Ghost Stories. I just got back about probably half a month ago from my vacation to Glacier National Park in Montana. And while I was there, I picked up this interesting book, which caught my attention because I don't usually read books. I don't like books very much. I find them very boring. Anyone who knows me knows I prefer movies over books. Anyways, I digress. I saw this interesting book, Glacier Ghost Stories, and I instantly I picked it up and I started reading it. It's very none of the stories in this book are confirmed, but they are definitely something to think about. And there's something if you're going to Glacier National Park, I think, and you're into ghost stories and stuff like that, this is definitely something cool to have, because you can go to all these different places where all these supposed ghost stories have taken place, which
Sandy,
I actually did.
You know what I want to do? I want to buy for you. I want to buy a Ghosts of Disneyland book because I'm sure they exist.
Oh yeah.
Would you like to do a Ghost of Disneyland hunt while we're there?
Yes.
Okay. It's on. It's on then. We'll turn that into a live scary adventures. All right.
Yeah, so I went and I actually visited one of the places that I'm actually going to tell you about today. Or tonight, I should say. Anyways, this first story I have is about two brothers back in 1920s. Let's see, their names were darn, I just had it here. The Whitehead brothers. They were that was their gosh, I had a bookmarked. What am I doing? I didn't write their names down. I think it was Joseph and William Whitehead. Anyways. Okay, so basically, it's back in the 1920s, and these two were from Chicago. Now, this isn't the place that I went and I visited because this wasn't really a specific place. It's this is a trail they went on. It was a 20-mile trail.
Hold on. So let's set the stage, Sandy. Let's set the stage for the part of Glacier that you visited, how big Glacier is overall, where you were when you were there. Can you mind setting that up really quick?
I was we stayed around the Lake McDonald Lodge area, which is, it's where, everyone goes. If you're going to Glacier National Park, you're going to be going to Lake McDonald Lodge at some point in time. We did go up into the mountains. That was definitely an experience. I'm not sure what trail these two were on. It's in the book, but again, I lost my place, so I can't check. I'm going with my notes here. But it's a very big park, very beautiful. There's a lot of history behind it, a lot of supposed ghost stories behind it as well. I'm sure there are a few real ones, but I'm not sure. Again, none of the stories in that book are actually confirmed. But again, very big park, very nice. There's a lot of history behind it, and so the trails there, my gosh, they are huge. So a 20-mile trail, that's nothing compared to what you could find, up in the mountains. But anyways, these two were on a 20-mile hike on a trail, and between they were trying to get, I think, back to they're trying to get from one lodge to the other. Anyway, so they set off on this trail, and quite simply, they left, and they were never seen again. And there's some more facts in this book. I just want to make sure I'm getting them all correct here. Oh gosh, that was the wrong place, wasn't it? Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
So ridiculous. There's so much dead space here. I'm sorry.
I'm just looking for a ghostly Disneyland book for you. I'm literally browsing Amazon right now. I'm thinking of either getting The Park After Dark or let's see.
Ooh. I actually did a Disneyland ghost video on my channel.
Did you really?
It's not meant to be taken very seriously at all. It's a skit. But
the unofficial guide to Walt Disney's Haunted Kingdom. That sounds promising.
You got to make sure it's on Disneyland, not Disney World, though.
Oh, I know. Anyways,
I did find this story though. So this whole thing is an unsolved mystery. So when these two, they went out on this trail, and weeks passed, no one they weren't with they were with themselves. You know, they're the two brothers. They weren't with anyone else. So there was no one out, you know, in Glacier looking for them, because obviously they weren't with anyone else. So return home, you know, weeks, maybe even months later. When they didn't return home, their mom sent out a search warrant for them. Now the search warrant was not successful whatsoever. Joseph and William, that's what it was. It's on August 24 that they left in 1924. When they didn't return home as planned, their mother requested that a search be made for them. Search parties were sent out to cover all the likely routes the brothers might have taken. The weeks-long search was intently followed by readers of newspapers across the country. So this is a countrywide thing at this point. It eventually involved J. Edgar Hoover's Bureau of Investigation, and even President Coolidge, who expressed an interest in it. It was called off on September 17. So they searched for quite some time there. A few days later, after the search was called off, a report by 3 writers employed by the Park Saddle Horse Company surfaced. On August 24th, they claimed to have met 2 young men on the trail halfway between Granite Park, Chatlet, and the Lewis Glacier Hotel, which is what the trail between those 2 places. That was the last known sighting of the Whitehead brothers, Joseph and William. If the 2 men had indeed been the brothers that these people claimed they were, you know, multiple things could have happened. You know, they could have been attacked by a bear, fallen off a cliff or into a crevice. They could have gotten lost and just died somewhere, or they could, you know, they might have still lived and just gone off somewhere else. Who knows? Anyways, been kidnapped or murdered, which is basically what the most popular rumor is. Of course, you know, that's always the most popular rumor. They were murdered. You know, something happened. Anyways, after this entire experience, and this woman, whose husband had been close to the investigation in the 1920s, his name was Doug Follett. He said that the Whitehead brothers, he had some kind of source. He claims that the Whitehead brothers had been murdered and robbed and murdered by people on the robbers on the trail, and then were wrapped in barbed wire and sunk in the bottom of the lake.
Ooh, God.
Yeah, it's quite a story there. Anyways, that's what this guy claims. He claims they were wrapped in barbed wire and thrown in the lake after they were murdered and robbed. And really, no one ever went any deeper than that, I guess. I don't know if it's because they don't think it's true, because this guy had no official source. Because if this guy did have some kind of source, then, you know, he would have to know more about the entire thing, or whoever he got the information from must have known something more. So honestly, in all honesty, you know, I'd love to think that it's true, but I don't think it is. But like, no.
But you gotta wonder when you're hiking up there, you know, when you're hiking up in those trails, if you're on that, you know, especially if we don't know exactly where the trail was. Yeah, I don't know.
Exactly.
Some cool to think about.
It is very cool to think about. And unless some, you know, sonar boat goes out there on the lake, and it's called Lake 5, I believe. And unless, you know, some sonar boat goes out in the lake and ends up detecting, you know, these skeletons wrapped in barbed wire at the bottom of the lake. Unless that happens, you know, it's still a mystery. Which I guess that's the way that most people like it, because most people would hate to ruin something like that and have it turn out to not be true, which it probably isn't true. It's just a story anyways. But yeah, that was my first little tall tale there.
Okay.
Very fun to think about.
Sandy, I apologize because I accidentally bought a Kindle version of this stupid Disneyland ghost book.
You already bought it?
Yes.
Oh gosh.
But I bought it. Whatever. I can load up the Kindle on my phone. We'll be fine. All right. We can still have it ready to go there. So.
Okay. Can you send the copy to me?
I'm not sure if I can do that.
Anyways, we'll have it on your phone. We'll be fine.
Yeah, my bad. Anyways.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. So, yeah, folks, let's get into Petaluma, California. Now, of course, I'm going to kind of I've got a variety of things to talk about. I'm going to try and go through it as much as I can. I'm not really going off of notes. I'm just going off of hearsay and memory and just kind of like things that have been passed down to me. So first of all, let's talk about the geography of Petaluma. So Petaluma basically rests on the side of a riverbank, which is a slough, actually, which Sandy, basically the proper terminology for a slough would be, it's literally a water garbage dump. It's where all of San Francisco's garbage just gets dumped out.
Oh, that sounds like a good place for a spooky setting.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome, right? Because we have this great river, this historic riverfront, but it's like literally like garbage water.
We should go visit when I go.
Oh man. Okay, so what?
Anyways,
so what you're looking at now, Sandy, this is called Haystack Landing, and this is perhaps the most infamous spot in all of Petaluma. Now, Haystack Landing was basically the main shipping dock in Petaluma, because the main thing that Petaluma was used for back in the day, in the 1800s, was a trade stop in between San Francisco and Sacramento.
All right. This house here?
Well, yeah, the house was basically the owner's property, and then there was a barn and there was a dock and everything like that. The house is no longer around anymore. I'm not sure when this picture was taken. It looks like a pretty nice picture. So, but the house, from what I understand, burned down years ago. So it's kind of weird to me to find a picture of this house in such a nice shape. Honestly, that's kind of like like this feels like a picture that was taken with a modern camera. You know what I mean?
It really does. That's what I thought.
And so that's kind of what it freaks me out. You know what I mean? Because this house burned down like a good 10 years or so ago. This picture should not be this high resolution.
Yeah, I mean, how did the house burn down? Do you know? Like, was it like just vandalizers or?
Well, Sandy, I believe the question you're looking for is how to get burned. How to get burned. No, I'm not really sure. I'm pretty sure it was teenagers would use it as a hangout spot, and they would make campfires and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I would not make campfires in a haunted house. You kidding me?
No, not in the house, but like around the house.
Oh, okay.
And essentially, to make a long story short, this was the scene to a whole multitude of accidents over the years involving the shipping docks. Lots of deaths, you know, like kids getting accidentally hurt and stuff like that.
I can imagine, yeah.
Lots of disease going on through this house over the years, you know, lots of people dying. So just basically, long story short, this house is and just the land it sits on, because like I said, there's literally nothing left of this land. It's very hard to find and locate because there's no actual you know, landmarks now that the house burned down. Like the foundation of the house is pretty much like all grown over with leaves and everything and grass.
You could probably find those trees though, right?
I'm not sure. It's honestly kind of I mean, I'm sure you could pinpoint it. Here's the thing, it's impossible to get to because there's fences all around it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, like it's not one of these spots where you know, you're going to access it. You know, you can like, I mean, I'm sure if you wanted to like be bold, you could probably find a gap in a fence or something like that, you know, but legally speaking, you cannot access the spot. But point being, everything along the Petaluma River is kind of messed up because of Haystack Landing. And Haystack Landing, Sandy, this thing, basically, my house is on a hill, right? And then my hill connects to another street. And then that street connects to the street that Haystack Landing is on.
Okay.
So that's just how close I am to Haystack Landing.
Wow, okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay, so just like I said, I could go into like a whole ton of different things that happened in Haystack Landing over the years, but all you need to know is that just the energy from this place is kind of like radiated over into the entire rest of the town, specifically the river. So with that, let's talk about the Twine Factory.
All right.
Now, I think I've gone over this with you before, Sandy. I think I've told you this story before.
Okay.
I don't know.
Let me just say that the twine factory, that sounds horrible. That sounds for some reason, it just sounds terrifying. The twine factory.
Right.
Plus this building doesn't compliment it
No,
either.
look at this building, man. Seriously.
It's like someone hung themselves in twine from those towers there.
Oh man. Okay, so the twine factory, it made silk, all right? So it was like, it basically made clothing material. Lots of workers, I imagine, got hurt and injured over the years, but the big thing that happened that kind of set a dark aura over this place is that this place was basically, it's right on the riverbed. Like, it's basically like, a couple of yards away from the river. And so essentially what happened is that there was a ship that crashed in the river and sunk, and it was a really, really bad accident. And lots of people died. At least a good 20 or 30 people died.
Oh my
and
gosh.
What happened was the town didn't really have room in the hospitals or anything to identify the bodies at the time. So guess where they stored the bodies, Sandy?
In the factory.
In the factory. That's right. Why? In the factory.
Why?
Because they needed to identify all of them, and it was like a process that took place over about a week of identifying the bodies. And they were all just kind of like slumped up against the windows.
What?
Yeah.
Like these are stinking corpses. Sorry, that sounded really mean. These are rotting corpses. How did the factory owners, or was the factory closed at that time?
This was all mandated through the city of Petaluma.
Okay.
Like basically the city of Petaluma, like, kind of came in and been like, you have to shut down operations because we need this space to identify these bodies.
Dang. Okay. Wow.
Yep. And so essentially the personal tie that I have to this is that my sister and I have always been very fascinated with this building, kind of like we've always dreamed of breaking in and exploring it. That'd be a trip. Because, I mean, look at it. It's huge. But anyways, we haven't gone that far. But one night, like probably after midnight, we were parked right at this view, looking out at the tower, like the window of the tower that you see prominently in the middle of this picture. And Sandy, we saw what was what looked like the face of a little kid.
Oh, gosh.
Except this face wasn't moving at all. It was just kind of like in a dead sort of like stare.
Where was it?
Up in that window. Like looking out from the window. Yeah, the open one, yeah.
Oh, so you could see it clearly then.
Yes. Like we were parked down by that palm tree.
Okay. All right.
So basically what I'm saying is that it was a ghost, but it was a ghost of a dead body.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Let's backtrack here. Now, if this is a river, how big is the river?
I mean, the river is pretty large. Like it goes from San Francisco all the way to Petaluma, so that's a good 50 miles or so.
Oh, okay. So it's I'm thinking of like a little, tiny river. Okay, never mind. All right, so there were kids on board this boat?
Yes.
Oh gosh, dude, that's what kind of boat was it again? Was it like a
I'm not sure. There's kind of conflicting notes about that, but from what I understand, it was some sort of like just afternoon sailing vessel, like a tourist ship from San Francisco to Petaluma.
Oh gosh.
So that's why there were kids on board.
Okay. Wow. You sure it wasn't like some kind of mannequin or something used for
what? What would a mannequin be doing up there to begin with?
People could practice tying the twine around the mannequin's neck before they hung them.
Okay, first of all, this factory is abandoned.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, you're right.
So if there was a mannequin up in the sevens up in that window just staring down at us, that in itself would be creepy as fuck, honestly.
Um, honestly, like, is this factory accessible illegally or illegally or legally?
Right now, no, there's a big fence around it.
So you could access it illegally then, right?
I mean, it'd be pretty hard with the fence.
Yeah. Huh. Well, when was this that you guys went and
Well, when we went, it would have been actually pretty easy to access it illegally. To be
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I'm gonna try and debunk this whole thing.
as you do, as you do.
Honestly, Adam the Woo made a video some while back where he explored this supposedly haunted church where you'd see like faces down in the window in the basement windows. So he went there at night and he was videotaping. Now this church is in the middle of nowhere. It's like in the middle of a forest. Anyways, he goes and he's videotaping, and he ends up finding what he thinks is a face in one of the windows, and he runs off. So, and basically, I think what he came to the conclusion to, or what some of the commenters came to the conclusion to, is that there are pranksters who do that on purpose just to scare people because they know what people think and what kind of rumors go around. So honestly, if this was
right.
I think if like you said, it'd be pretty easy to get in there. And
I still think the idea of it is creepy, though. Someone just
creepy.
like putting a mannequin, like a little kid mannequin, up in that window.
It is creepy, and who knows? Who knows? You might actually have something here.
And at the very least, you've got to admit this building, just in of itself, is creepy as hell, right?
Oh yeah. What's that tower behind it there? That big metal one.
I'm not sure. I think it's some sort of like, yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you. I really don't know. It's just all weird and out of like, it's like something out of the Industrial Revolution.
Oh wow! It looks pretty modern. Is that made of wood or metal? Do you know?
What, that structure?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's made of metal.
Huh.
I don't know. I'd have to do some research into like what it actually is there for. I'm not really sure. My guess is that it houses some sort of silo or something.
Okay.
Or like a water tower or something like that.
Yeah, I expect there to be a water tower up there, but I don't see anything.
Well, maybe there was a water tower up there at some point, maybe. Because it's a really, I'm serious, because it's a really, really old building. It's like the second oldest building in Petaluma.
Wow. Well, who knows? Who knows?
So, okay. You want to move on to the next subject?
Sure. Did you have another story or?
Yeah, I have a few more.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's move on then.
Okay, so this is a really quick one, but this is something that actually happened to my family. Free public library. So this building used to be a free public library, as you can see. Now it's a museum, kind of Petaluma history, but it still has the free public library thing up there. Anyways, so the important thing, Sandy, is there's a little courtyard out off to the side of this free public library, where there's like a giant oak tree and some patio sitting where you can sit under the oak tree, right? Okay, basically, there's this parking lot that my dad used to park to go to his job, and this courtyard with the oak tree also is immediately across the street from the place where my grandmother used to work. Right. And both my dad and my grandmother, my dad, like walking from his car to work, passing this courtyard, and my grandmother from across the street saw a body hanging from this oak tree.
My gosh.
Yeah, and this was just a legit thing, like some guy just climbed up there and freaking offed himself.
Like, when was this again? How many years ago was this?
This was probably back in I want to say this was when I was alive. So this was probably back in like the 90s.
And like, how many people are around,
Honestly, I'm pretty sure my dad was the one who made the phone call to the police to get him down. So I'm not sure. It was in the early morning.
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
Yeah, so obviously, as you can probably guess, there's kind of this weird aura around the, that little courtyard area of this library.
Do people still talk about it then?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. You're like your family was involved with something like that.
It's a pretty well-known story, yeah.
That's really cool that your family was a part of that whole thing. That's continues to be talked about by people.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, speaking of things that continue to be talked about, Sandy. Oh God. Okay, so this is definitely the one that I'm like the most uncomfortable talking about. You okay?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that house just looks very very quaint. Like an elderly woman lives there who gives kids lollipops.
Oh boy. Well,
horrifying story behind it, I'm sure.
yeah, it does have a horrifying story behind it. Oh
yeah.
God. The horrifying. Okay, and first of all, I also want to set the stage here. I was kind of teasing at the end of the last podcast. This is the house that's literally right up the street from my grandma's house.
Oh gosh.
Like it's literally on the same street. Okay, so this is the house of Polly Kloss, or at least it used to be the house of the house of the Kloss family. Polly Kloss was a 12-year-old girl who was really into performing arts, a straight A student, had a lot of friends, and one night while she was having a sleepover with her friends, some sick asshole decided to sneak in through the side window and kidnap her and do things to her. And yeah, it was one of the biggest tragedies this town had ever faced. It was the site of media scrutiny, and it kind of put Petaluma on the map in a really negative light for kind of having a reputation of these sort of kidnapping cases. And
when
to
was
this was 94.
Okay.
Halloween of 94, like October of 94.
Oh gosh, Halloween too. Gosh.
I mean, it wasn't on Halloween night. It was like early October.
Yeah.
Like October 5th, something like that. Anyways. So, yeah, man. And kind of some creepy things to note about this whole thing. First of all, my sister and I, we've definitely experienced things in the immediate vicinity around this house.
So was this girl killed? This Holly girl killed?
Yeah, she was.
Oh gosh. Okay.
She was killed after probably about 3 days.
All right. Continue.
Her remains were left on the side of a freeway billboard. Yeah. Like I said, this is like the story that I'm most uncomfortable telling, but I kind of have to tell it because it's the thing that Petaluma is known for.
So how were her remains left? I feel comfortable asking this, but how does someone do that? How does someone accomplish that?
Just plops them in a bag and leaves them there. It was literally in like a knapsack.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So my sister and I, we've had some experiences. Of course, we found out about this when we were we've always known about Polly Kloss, but our interest kind of peaked once we found out just how close the house was to my grandma's house.
Okay.
And this was around the time we were in high school, maybe when we were like 15, 16, something like that.
All right.
And so we would make a point to kind of like circle the area, not in like a stalky kind of way, just sort of like staking stuff out. And she also went to an elementary school that was also down the street. Like my grandma's house was essentially like the midway point between the Polly Kloss house and the elementary school. And one of the things that came out about the killer is that the killer used to basically kind of park his car across the street from the elementary school and watch her as she'd walk home to and from elementary school. So kind of like track her route.
Okay, so they caught this sicko then, right?
Oh yeah. This guy is behind bars, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he's got the death penalty, actually. They're just waiting to execute him. So,
Oh, okay.
anyways, so essentially, Sandy, I know you're a skeptic when it comes to ghosts, and my sister and I, we didn't necessarily see any ghosts, but what we did experience was a feeling, a very oppressive feeling around 3 in the morning, which would have been the time that she was kidnapped, because she was kidnapped around 3 in the morning when her parents were out. Her parents were out that night. So you can imagine around 3 in the morning, this area is going to be very oppressive because this is where she was taken. And this is where the guy kind of took her, like he drove up through the, am I making any sense? Like he drove his car up, down the street, past the school, and out of town.
After he kidnapped her?
Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially what I'm getting at is that there's a very oppressive energy around that, essentially around that loop from her house to the school, especially after dark, especially after midnight, because you just get the feeling, like you can, it's just a feeling. I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it. My sister,
it's just a ghostly energy.
right. It might just be psychological because you know what happened to her and you know the story, but I don't know. My sister and I did have a very vivid experience once, though, where we were driving around. We were driving around the school, and we thought that we saw the figure of a little girl kind of like running towards the car from the school parking lot. So we floored it, and we ended up at my house, which was, or my grandma's house, I should say. We parked outside of my grandma's house to catch my breath. And this was, like about a block down the street, so it wasn't very far. And we're both sort of, just like, oh God, what the hell? And then Sandy, I kid you not, we see a little circle of mist and fog form outside on the sidewalk next to where we're parked, right? And in the rear view mirror and in the overhead mirror, we can see kind of like the ghostly outline of a little girl. So we can't see her in like physically. We can only see the ring of fog, kind of like this ring of fog that's sort of the circle, like where she would be standing. And then in the mirror, we're seeing the reflection of the girl. And basically what happens is I kind of like, we're both like scared shitless, and I kind of crack a joke. And when I crack a joke, we feel the energy go from really cold to really hot. And at that point, we just speed off. And that was probably one of my most vivid, encounters with the supernatural. I don't know.
Really cold or really hot? What do you mean by that?
Just mean that literally the temperature in the car went from freezing cold to burning.
Ooh.
And like I said, the thing that I just vividly remember the most is the ring of fog that was outside of the car, contrasted to being exactly where the reflection of the girl was.
Could you see her in the reflection? Could you see like her features?
It was more like a vague outline.
Okay. And you both could see it?
Yes.
Oh darn. Oh boy, that's something.
Yeah, it is, right? All right, so another thing I want to point out with Polycloss before we move on from that is this is the Performing Arts Center that was kind of made in her honor. Now, first of all, I want to point out the creepy fact that look just how identical the architecture and the paint job looks to her actual house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. To me, there's something off-putting about that.
Maybe that was intentional. Did they build this for her? Or?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, that's probably why. Then I mean,
I still think it's creepy. I think it's
It is
creepy to have like to basically have like the exact color of the windows and the wood and everything.
How was she? How old was she?
She was 12.
Okay.
Now, the only thing to mention about this, besides the fact that it looks creepily similar to the house, is the fact that this has actually been abandoned for years. And it's just completely like, it's just padlocked shut. All the sidewalk around it is just filled with leaves. Like, no one manages it. The air, like there's all these weeds that have kind of popped up around it. It's in kind of a sad, dilapidated state.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which I think is just kind of like sad and somewhat poetic. I don't know.
Now,
all right.
What do you know what she like when you saw like this ghostly figure? What did she look like?
It was just kind of like a vague outline of girl.
That's creepy. Nothing else. I mean, nothing at all. Just a vague outline.
Yeah.
All right.
Like, I'm not trying to paint a story where I'm not trying to add in details that weren't there. You know what I mean? I'm just telling you what was,
All right.
I'm not trying to fabricate anything.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
Okay, so shall we move on to our last topic of the night, besides your final ghost story?
Sure.
So shall we say the penultimate topic? All right.
Okay.
The Phoenix Theater. Oh my God, Sandy. This place is a home away from home for me. I'm actually going to go see Jimmy Eat World here next Saturday. I've seen a lot of great concerts here. I've seen Neutral Milk Hotel. I've seen Real Big Fish. A lot of great acts. A lot of great acts over the years here. And but the Phoenix is also known for one thing. The reason it's called the Phoenix in the first place is that this location has burnt down and been reconstructed not once but twice over the years. It started as an old-timey performance hall where people like Houdini himself performed in the 1900s. Yeah, and yes, that's right. I just think it's so cool that Houdini performed in this spot. Then it burned down, and it got reconstructed as a movie theater.
All right.
And the theater was there until around the 1960s, like the mid-1960s. And it got burned down once again. Early 1970s, it was reconstructed as the performing arts space we all know and love. This is just something out of like every local knows and loves the Phoenix. A lot of Petaluma locals grew up with the Phoenix. It's part of their DNA. You know what I mean? It's like a huge part of the town's culture. But of course, as you can imagine, Sandy, with those two fires, there's some troubling history here. And also the fact that it's a teen hangout space. And while I will give, I just want to make this clear before I get in, especially to the second story. I give this place a lot of credit for being a safe and respectable place for kids to go after school. It's a really great after school center. It's got its own free medical clinic. I believe it's got free therapy and stuff like that. It's just a wonderful resource to the town.
Right.
However, when you have like heavy metal concerts and you have like crazy concerts, kids are going to be kids and substances are going to be taken. And this leads us to the story of Overdose Girl, which is the final story of the evening, Sandy, from my end.
Okay.
All right, so Overdose Girl, basically the story of Overdose Girl, to put it simply, is this was back in the 90s, and she overdosed in the men's bathroom of the Phoenix. And
reason being?
What?
Reason being why it was the men's?
Because she was disorientated, she ran up to the bathrooms, and she just went into the first bathroom she could find.
Is that what the bathroom actually looks like today?
Yes.
It is. Okay. All right.
That's actually kind of what the whole building looks like. The whole building is kind of like decked out in like graffiti art.
All right. Yeah, they disorient me too.
Right, right. Okay, Sandy, but basically the whole main crux of this story has to do with the fact that she ended up in the men's room. And to this day, I've heard people say that they can see the reflection of a female, like a female party goer in mirrors of men's bathrooms, not just in the Phoenix, but all over Petaluma.
Okay.
So it's sort of, and I had an experience way out in the boonies, kind of like in this national park that was sort of across from Haystack Landing, where I was in a men's bathroom that was kind of in the edge of the national park. And I just heard a female voice sobbing in a bathroom stall. And this was late at night. And I just noped the fuck out of there. And it could have just been some crazy homeless lady who stumbled in there. You know what I mean? But
like the IHOP lady, like IHOP lady.
Yes, like IHOP lady, exactly like IHOP lady. But I don't know, Sandy, but you can imagine just the fact that the Phoenix is such a well-known establishment and it's such a part of like it's essentially like way rooted in local folklore and local myths and legends. And Overdose Girl is one of the most famous hauntings of the Phoenix. The other haunting being a cloaked, shadowy figure that appears in the balcony from time to time during certain shows. The band AFI has been known to see them a lot.
How did this girl?
What?
This girl basically just overdosed and died on the floor.
Yes.
How is she? Like, when did they find her?
I mean, I assume they found her quickly because people are constantly going in and out of the bathrooms at Phoenix shows.
All right, that's basically just it. There's nothing else there.
Well, like I said, the whole crux of it is the fact that she's a spirit that not just ended up in one spot, but she's kind of tied to the idea of the men's bathroom. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay. When was this? What year was this?
I don't know the year. I just know it was in the 90s.
Okay. Alrighty.
Creepy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's get back to you then. Give us one more story to finish things out.
All right. Well, this one's a little bit. This one's a bit lengthier, and this one, this is one I actually have some kind of connection to. So this whole story starts about 40 years ago, roughly 40 years ago, when an elderly man checks into Apgar Village Inn, which is a popular place to stay if you're in Glacier, and it's right around that Lake McDonald Lodge. It's right around that area, just off of a really nice, really very pleasant, quaint little section of the park where you can go and you can get food, and you go to the post office. And there's a bunch of gift shops, and there's some great ice cream around that part. Anyways, Apgar Village Inn. It's a very old, very popular inn in that section of the park. And this old guy, he ends up in room 66, where he dies of natural causes in the bathtub. Now, I know people are probably thinking, oh, he ended up in room 66. This story's got to be so fake, because that's just too coincidental. Which, yeah, I think you're probably right.
Right.
It's like, I don't know if it's who knows. This could be true and just that be a total coincidence, or just be fabricated.
Or it could be like a true story, but the 66 part is fabricated. That's kind of where I lean on it.
Yeah. Anyways, this guy dies of natural causes in the bathtub. Not only that, but in the years to come, 2 more die in the same room in the same bathroom.
Ooh, that's creepy.
Yeah, what's even creepier is that one is a small child who died of a heart attack. And then accidentally cuts his arm on the towel rack and bleeds to death.
Oh, are you kidding me?
No, and then the other is suicide, which isn't really explained at all. It's just a suicide.
Wait. How old was the person who killed themselves? This wasn't a kid, was it?
No, I'm guessing. My best guess is that the kid thing was a completely different.
This was starting to sound like It, where it's like coercing people to kill themselves.
Anyways, yeah, the whole suicide thing. That's That's not explained at all, which is it's kind of upsetting because it could be a big part of the story. I'm guessing it was some kind of love affair where it was, because I know there was just one other story that I read where this girl ended up killing herself because she was rejected by the man that she loved. I think she was a housekeeper, innkeeper.
Mhm.
Anyways, anyhow, so jump ahead 40 years around present day, and these two that are telling this story, who are writing the book, they check into the same inn, Apgard Village Inn, and they end up in the same room 66. And what's funny is that they would get these strange smells from the bathroom vent. Let me jump back a little bit with that kid, which also ties into this present day stuff. Now, apparently, they redid the floors. They redid the floors in the bathroom, and when they pulled up the tile, there was wood underneath the tile.
Mm-hmm.
So they apparently there was blood stains in the wood. They found, and that's rumored to be the blood of the boy who cut himself by
Oh,
accident.
oh,
So, yeah.
fuck. That's so not cool.
Yeah, they're probably over 25 to 30 years after. Yeah, very, very, very creepy. Anyways, they would get these strange smells from the bathroom vent, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with this said vent, but once in a while, these disgusting odors would arise. And these two in the room knew about these alleged ghosts, and they were very curious about the odd smells and the stories. So they started recording their digital. So this vent thing. Yeah. The whole vent thing. There was nothing wrong with the vent. Like I said, there was nothing wrong with it. It's just weird smell, weird, unexplainable, horrific smells, which are very popular in this book that I'm reading. That people getting these weird smells and footsteps outside their hotel doors late in the night. So they started recording their digital ghost phenomena recorder, and they went on their way that day and ended up deciding on getting some dinner. I mean, this is where my story ties in a little bit, not with their story, but my own separate. Anyways, one of them said that, let's get some huckleberry pie. And what was the place? The place where they went and ate.
Yeah, you were telling me about this earlier.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, but they said, let's get some huckleberry pie.
Mrs. Knott's Chicken Dinner Restaurant.
I don't think they serve huckleberry pie there, do they?
Oh, they might. They serve a lot of pie.
Huckleberries they're very popular in that region of the country. Like
fair enough. In Montana, you're right. Knott's probably doesn't, but anyways.
It'd be great if it did. I love huckleberry pie. I love huckleberries in general. Huckleberry ice cream, huckleberry.
Well, when we go out for chicken dinner, you're going to get a slice of pie with your meal. So,
ooh, do I get to choose what flavor it is?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyways,
I'm ruining the tension here. So they got their huckleberry pie, and they went back to their hotel, to the inn that night, and they were playing back their recorder.
Oh God.
And it turns out that this is we're just getting a little bit creepy. They're playing back the recorder, and this is back when they're walking to the restaurant. And this is right after the one says, "Ooh, let's get some huckleberry pie," and they hear in the recorder, "No way!" Except it sounds like an elderly man.
What?
So
like in response to "Let's get huckleberry pie."
Yeah, it's like he's walking right next to them, talking with them, and he just says, "No way!"
What the fuck?
And that's all they hear. Nothing else. He never says anything else. Just "No way."
Okay.
Oh gosh, I forgot. Let's see. Gosh, how does this end? Okay. Well, I know, but then all this excitement just got me.
Come on, you can do it, Sandy.
I know. I'm just trying to read up here. Oh, yeah, there's another one. Let me just read this last paragraph to you. We sat down at our kitchen table and began to ask questions, hoping that the ghost, if there was one there, would reply. So, this is after they've heard everything, and they're trying to, test this ghost out, trying to try him out. Half an hour passed with no answer. Meanwhile, a sudden windstorm came up in the flower baskets outside. Our door began to sway.
Oh, God.
We went outside to watch, leaving the recorder running.
Oh, God.
A small boat had broken loose from its mooring and beached itself while another had disappeared, possibly sunk. Pat grabbed her camera and tried a few time exposures before we went back in to resume our interrupted EVP session. So basically, the whole boat thing that didn't have anything to do with the ghost. That was just some little boats that they had seen earlier. One had sunk, and that caught their attention. Anyways, they went back. We went back to. I replayed first, though. I replayed the few minutes that had been recorded while we were outside. To our surprise, we heard someone chuckle. It sounded like the same older male voice, slightly husky, that said, "No way," when I announced that I wanted to have huckleberry pie for dessert. Nothing further happened that night, and we slept well, lulled by the noise of waves crashing onto pebbly shore. By morning, the wind had stopped, the wind had dropped, and the lake was merely choppy, but dark gray clouds hung ominously over the peaks. We had planned to head over to going to the Sun Road that morning, and we knew we knew that the weather at 6,000 feet could change from minute. It could change from minute to minute because up in those mountains, the weather gets drastically cold very quickly. We packed up quickly. As we got into my car, on impulse, I turned to wave farewell to the spirit of the man whose voice was on a recorder. I think of him as he may have been in life, relaxing on one of the old chairs after a day's fishing, probably recalling with pleasure the dessert he'd had that evening, which I'm pretty sure it wasn't huckleberry pie. So that's basically that's it for that story. It's just the old guy saying that he doesn't want huckleberry pie for dessert, and he's going to follow them wherever he goes, wherever they go, just to make sure they don't get huckleberry pie because he doesn't like huckleberry pie.
So then, when you went to the
what
restaurant, you ordered huckleberry pie, I assume?
Yes, that's where my story ties in.
Right.
I went to this restaurant, and it just coincidentally happened to be the same restaurant that they were at. And I got the huckleberry pie. So same restaurant, same dessert. That was cool enough for me. That was exciting enough for me because I was having the exact same experience they were.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But after that, I went over to the Apgar Village Inn, which now it's raining. Okay, it's cold and it's raining. Oh, excuse me. And it's dark. Just to add to the whole effect here. And I walk up to the front door, and this guy, he walks out like
God.
This guy walks out I'm not sure what he was planning to do. He just walked out and walked up to me and said nothing. I'm not sure how he saw me or what he was doing, but that's what he did. And I asked him, "Hi, I just wanted to ask. I want to inquire about some ghost stories that have apparently happened here in the past few decades." And all of a sudden, he gets really nervous. Like I'm inquiring about these things, and he just kind of freezes up, and he's not sure what to say. So he tells me that what did he say? It was something along the lines of I'm not sure what it was exactly, but I know what he was trying to say was, you don't believe everything you read in books. So I looked at that, but I still thought it was weird that he just walked out to me
That is weird.
And then walks back inside the building after I leave.
Right.
Acting really strange when I ask him about this ghost story. That I don't know, that I went back and I went back and went to bed, but I don't know, it was weird. It was pretty strange.
It was pretty strange. All right. Okay, so does that about do it then, Sandy?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Until we get our scary adventures vlog at Disneyland.
Well, no, I think we'll be doing something in between now and then.
Oh yeah.
Because we're doing Disney debates next week, and then on the 28th, which will be the week before, Sandy, the week before Disneyland. Oh my God. On the 28th, Sandy, we will be talking about nightmares and dreamscapes.
That is right. Okay. Yeah, every Thursday. Every Thursday, Sandy, folks, come back every Thursday.
Every other Thursday. Every other Thursday. Get it right.
I can't plug it if I can't get it right.
No, you cannot.
What were you saying?
Oh, I was just going to say, like, you were kind of hit hardcore by a memory you had of a nightmare when I brought that subject up right before it went on air. So I don't want to drudge it back up again, but I just want to say, like, say, hold on to that creepiness, man, because like, I think I really struck a nerve with you. And I think we're going to get into some really, really interesting conversation with that one. Basically the idea of nightmares and dreamscapes is we're going to talk in terms of the personal experiences. We're going to talk about like reoccurring nightmares we've had, things that have really stuck out with us. And then we're also going to talk about a couple like concepts regarding around dreams and nightmares, mostly that of what happens to you in a coma. What does a coma feel like? And also, Sandy, the terrifying concept that is anesthesia awareness.
Oh
which I just introduced you to tonight, and you're going to sleep well with that in your head, right? Oh, man. All right, folks. Well, thank you for joining us on another Scary Adventures, and see you again real soon. End it. Maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh.